Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is the Merman Master coming at you guys for the Team Time Riders YouTube channel today with my Bastion Misawa character deck. Special shout out to Xeroksha, and I really hope I said that correctly, for the recommendation. He and I have been having a really great discussion on the building and playing of character decks, and he actually wanted to see this deck profile in response to us talking a lot about cyber dragons and about a style of deck that basically focuses on the spirit of a character and the way that they play rather than trying to get all of their cards correctly. So a huge shout out to him, and I hope that if he does decide to upload some deck profiles in the future, that you guys will definitely check his stuff out, because he's got some great ideas and really want to see where he goes with them. But guys, with that being said, let's get into this deck profile. It is a pure Bastion Misawa chemistry / water deck, and I really hope you enjoy. So, starting things out with this deck, wouldn't be a Bastion deck with not one except for two copies of the mighty Water Dragon. Now, Bastion's deck is a little bit inconsistent due to the way that some of the cards are worded, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit. Basically, when this card can only be special summoned by a spell card called Bonding H2O, but there are ways in the deck to cheat the card out. And then the attack of fire and pyro type monsters becomes 0 while this card is face up on the field, and if it's destroyed and sent to the grave, you can special summon 2 Hydrogeddons and 1 Oxygeddon. Now, this is kind of like 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen create water. To join Water Dragon, we have 2 copies of the mighty Water Dragon Cluster, who is probably a better version of Water Dragon in a way. Instead of having the monsters have to be fire-type monsters, you can basically negate any monsters you control, and then you can tribute this card at any time to special summon any Water Dragon, special summon 2 Water Dragon from your hand or deck in defense mode. So basically the goal would be to go for Water Dragon Cluster most of the time, and then use Water Dragon Cluster to special the 2 Water Dragons that you have out onto your board. So very, very good play there that you can make, and definitely something that I would consider thinking about if you guys have the opportunity. Now, for our next cards, we've got 3 copies of Hydrogeddon. Now, this guy was actually really, really good way back in the day, because what you could use him for was destroying your opponent's cards by battle, and then in the similar vein to Xeroksha, you special summon another copy of Hydrogeddon from your deck. Really, really good way back in the day for special battle destruction, and combined with Moon Mirror Shield, super awesome card. 3 copies of Oxygeddon, who, when he's destroyed by a fire or pyro type monster, I believe it is, you inflict 800 points of damage to both players' life points. But 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen creates your Water Dragon. So they're really trying to go for those chemistry kind of moves right there. Next cards we've got are 2 copies of Duotyrion. I'm probably going to bump this up to 3. Discard him from your hand to the grave to add a bonding spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and if you special summon onto the board, you can basically special summon another copy of himself from your graveyard. Good card, and definitely one that is necessary in this deck. Now, that is all for your bonding cards, and if you guys remember when I talked about fire-type monsters with your Water Dragons and stuff, we've got 1 copy of Lava Golem in here. Tribute 2 monsters your opponent controls, but you can't normal summon during the turn. Special summon this guy to your opponent's board, and then he inflicts 1,000 points to them during each of their standby phases. So used to be a very, very good card back in the day, but with the advent of link monsters and generic summons that you can make with different monsters, unfortunately, it was not a way that I liked it to go with the game. But cool cards like Lava Golem and things like that can easily just be linked away before they have the chance to do any serious damage to your opponent. The original runner of Mathematician was Bastion Misawa, so we've got a single copy of Mathman in here. Really great for sending different cards that you need for, from your deck to the grave, but can only send level 4 or lower monsters. We've got another copy of Vorse Raider. Bastion ran this with his Ring of Destruction before Chaz kind of threw his deck into the water. We've got 1 copy of Carboneddon, probably the card that I send the most off of Mathematician. Really, really amazing card. You can banish him from the grave to allow him to special summon a high-level normal dragon-type monster. And, of course, the one that Bastion always loves is Hyozanru, the Diamond Dragon. With his Diamond Devastator, a powerful attack. Special summons this guy in defense mode. Now, closing out our monsters and kind of moving into our spells, we've got the 2 copies of Litmus Doom Swordsman. Now, this is probably going to be the main card that you're using to beat your opponent because of just how good it is. It's unaffected by trap cards, but when you control a face-up, when you or your opponent controls a face-up continuous trap card, Litmus Doom Swordsman's attack power becomes 300 points. He also cannot be destroyed by battle as well, and as Bastion said, he's unbeatable. So, basically, when he's destroyed by your opponent's card, by any way, shape, or form, you can target a trap in either graveyard and set it into your spell and trap card zone. So Litmus Doom is probably going to be the guy who's doing the most work in this deck, while you sort of kind of try and assemble your Water Dragon plays and keep your opponent on their toes. That's going to do it for our monsters. Moving on to our spells. We've got 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Now, I didn't even realize this at the start when I started building this deck, but all of your get-on monsters are dinosaur types, including your Duotyrion, and Fossil Dig allows you to search a level 6 or lower dino. I haven't put any of the other types of dinos in this deck because I really don't want this deck to go in that direction, but if Konami releases any more Bastion support, I'm definitely all ears and going to build a deck around them. Next is our 2 copies of our Litmus Doom Ritual, which allows you to special summon your Litmus Doom Swordsman, but also has an extra effect. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target it, and 1 Litmus Doom Swordsman in your graveyard, shuffle both it and this card into your deck, and then draw a card. So really, really good card, and allows you to recycle Litmus Dooms back to use them again. We've got 2 copies of Bonding H2O. When you control 2 Hydrogeddons and 1 Oxygeddon, you tribute all 3 of those monsters to special summon a Water Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So this is actually super awesome if you've got Water Dragon in your graveyard, because unlike some of the other cards that we've talked about in the past from GX, being able to get your Water Dragon from your graveyard as well is a super, super nice little thing that they put into this card. Bonding H2O is probably the worst of the spell cards, but definitely still something to have in here at 2 for now. 1 copy of Bonding D2O, tribute 2 Duotyrions and 1 Oxygeddon from your hand and or field to special summon Water Dragon or Water Dragon Cluster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And the best part about it is those summons are treated as a summon with Bonding H2O, which is great. And then if Water Dragon or Water Dragon Cluster is sent from the field to your graveyard, and it could be by your own effects, doesn't have to necessarily be by your opponents, you can add this card to your hand. So this is another okay card, but definitely not the best one that you have access to. 2 copies of Swords of Revealing Light helps protect your monsters and allow you to assemble your board to go for your Water Dragon or Litmus Doom Swordsman plays. 1 copy of your Pre-Preparation of Rites to search your Swordsman stuff. 1 copy of Moon Mirror Shield, great to equip to your Hydrogeddon to allow it to beat over anything, and then special summon another Hydrogeddon out of your deck for more damage. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, send any of your Water Dragon or Water Dragon clusters to your graveyard. 1 copy of Double Spell, discard a spell card from your hand to the grave to activate a spell card from your opponent's graveyard. Really, really great card that Bastion ran way back in the day. And finally, a Wing Beat of Giant Dragon, which he used in tandem with Hyozanru to destroy all of Jaden's back row. That's it for our spells. Moving on to our traps. And if you guys have watched the original duel that Jaden had with Bastion, you know about Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. I always thought that Bastion was a very, very criminally, to the point, underutilized character in the show, and I think that he could have provided an excellent kind of foil to Jaden, but unfortunately the creators and producers of the show had different ideas, and they gave us a lot of characters later on in the series that I thought were not as good as Bastion. But, you know, he actually found a way to stop Jaden's polymerization and prevent him from fusion summoning using Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell, which I thought was a genius kind of move. And, you got to give him commendations and credit for that. But basically, you discard a spell card from your hand to the grave when your opponent activates a spell. And not only do you negate that spell, but they cannot activate a spell card with that name for the rest of the duel. We've next got one copy of Bonding DHO. This is the best bonding card. You basically shuffle a Duotyrion, Hydrogeddon, and an Oxygeddon from your hand, field, and or graveyard, or from your hand and or graveyard into the deck, and then you special summon a Water Dragon cluster from your hand or graveyard. And then you can banish this card from your grave and add one Water Dragon or Water Dragon cluster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Now, if this card allowed you to get Water Dragon cluster from your deck as well, then it would be undisputed the best one. However, unfortunately, it can only grab it from the hand to the grave, so that's where cards like Foolish Burial and things like that come in. But then also being able to get Water Dragon back to your hand because Cluster can't grab it from your graveyard is also a really, really nice extra feature of DHO. We've got one copy of Damage Condenser to allow you to special summon a monster from your deck equal to the amount of damage you took. This was originally a card that Crowler ran, but decided to have it in here for Bastion as well. We've got one copy of Wabaku, helps protect your life points, of course. One copy of Spirit Barrier, a card that Bastion also ran, helps protect your life points. Combined together with your Litmus Doom Swordsman, this creates a nasty, nasty combo where your opponent, if they cannot out your Litmus Doom Swordsman, they cannot inflict any damage to your life points at all. So Bastion was really thinking smart back in the day to combo together with that. And then we finally have our DNA cards, 2 copies of Surgery and 1 copy of Transplant. Now these cards are great for switching your opponent's monsters to fire types or pyro types, but there is one very, very sobering fact, which I learned, guys, and it is unfortunate for me to say so, in that Water Dragon itself basically reduces the attacks of all fire and pyro type monsters on the field to 0 attack power, which if you activate your DNA Surgery, that includes Water Dragon himself, which means that he cannot basically benefit from a monster getting to zero attack power. So while Bastion did run DNA Surgery, it does also hurt your Water Dragon as well, but because DNA Surgery and DNA Transplant are continuous trap cards, you can use them in tandem with your Litmus Doom Swordsman to inflict even more damage. But guys, that's going to do it for my Bastion Misawa character deck. Really, really hope you guys enjoyed it. Special shout outs again to Xeroksha for the recommendation to do Bastion's deck. And this has been the Mermail Master with the Team Time Riders YouTube channel, and I'm signing out. Catch you guys next time. Peace.